Yep. campaign launch. This is a crowdfunding campaign, and a crowdfunding campaign is all about building a crowd. And so we start this as a partnership. It's a partnership between UNDP Ecuador and the San Francisco University and the government of Galapagos, and also in particular the UNDP program that I'm working for, the Biodiversity Finance Initiative. So my name is Anna van den Heuvel. I'm the global manager for the Biodiversity Finance Initiative, BIFIN. I'm going to be your moderator. We have a 45-minute program for you with some really interesting speakers. There's not going to be any Q&A part, but feel free to share your thoughts in the chat box. Hope you can all find it. So before we start, let me just briefly explain why we are doing this. As we all know, the nature of a place like Galapagos is very unique and has been very unique in the history of conservation and very important. And is a place that many people are visiting, and it's really depending on its revenue a lot for tourism. But we know that tourists are right now staying home. And this income from tourism is currently not happening. But the people that are not only working in the tourism sector, but also looking after this beautiful nature on behalf of all of us, they need some support to get through this pandemic. And this is the goal of our campaign. And later on, you're going to hear some more details about this campaign. And this is actually related to a global campaign that we are doing as BIFIN as well. So BIFIN is one of the partners here. And it's called Keep Conservation Heroes in Their Job. So we have seen it all around the world. Local communities that are really the guardians of our nature are losing their income. They are losing their jobs. And we need to help them. And we started this crowdfunding campaign earlier in the year with a campaign for saving the tamara, a wild dwarf buffalo in the Philippines. And that's been almost completed. And we started recently our second campaign in Thailand for Koh Tao Island. And now this is the third campaign that we are launching. And we really hope that this is going to be a real crowd-based campaign. So we hope that you, if you're listening, that you're inspired not only to donate, but to share this campaign and also to organize any event or activity that you can think of to raise money. This is not just our campaign, but this is also your campaign. And as I mentioned, we have a rich agenda. So we're going to soon hear from Midori Paxton, UNDP's Global Head for Biodiversity and Ecosystems. After that, we'll hear from UNDP's Regional Bureau for Latin America and the Caribbean through a video. Then we're going to move more locally. We're going to hear from the government of Galapagos Islands. And after that, we'll hear all about the campaign, how it works, and how you can join it from Matilde Mordt from UNDP Ecuador. And finally, we'll have our keynote speaker, Ms. Yolanda Kakabadse, who has a very long track record in conservation, and she's going to share some more of her experience and explain why we are doing this. So I think without much further ado, I would like to hand over now to Midori Paxton, UNDP's Senior Advisor on Biodiversity and Global Head for Ecosystems and Biodiversity, who's going to share more on the global context of the COVID-19 impact and how it relates to biodiversity. Midori, over to you.
Great, thank you very much, Ono, and good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. It's my great pleasure to speak at this occasion to launch the crowdfunding campaign for the Galapagos. Humanity is waging war on nature. This is what the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, said during the UN Biodiversity Summit in September. And his suggestion to ending this war and bringing peace is that we need to rebuild our relationship with nature. This will need work on many battlefronts, especially in the field of biodiversity conservation, which is definitely suffering from scorched earth policies. I'm not sure if the presentation is on. It doesn't really matter, but is it on?
It's on.
Okay. So I was talking about the scorched earth policies. And this actually picture is fire in the Pantanal from the air. So 2 out of 5 hectares of lands are already degraded globally, and over 2 million people are living in areas with high water stress. And the COVID-19 pandemic originates from our interface with nature, affecting every corner of our societies and economies. And the casualty in this war on biodiversity are likely to be 1 million of species or more in coming decades. And of course, the ultimate casualty is us humans who depend on biodiversity for our survival and well-being. And half of the global GDP is dependent on nature, and half of the 169 SDG targets need nature to achieve them. But we know that in the last 2 years alone, the world lost more than 20 million hectares of tropical forest, inching ever closer to irreversible tipping points in areas such as the Amazon. And each year, more potential tipping points appear in the Great Barrier Reef, the wetland fires in the Pantanal, and with 90% of global fish stocks either fully exploited, overexploited, or collapsed. And we are recognizing that nature crisis is intimately linked with the climate crisis, and that our responses to both are similarly inadequate. So there's really an urgent need to bring this war on nature to an end and to recover our future. And green recovery in this COVID era provides an unparalleled opportunities for us to get things done. The next slide, please. And so here are 5 systemic changes UNDP believes to be essential for halting biodiversity loss. So 1, we need to transform financial systems and redirect finance from nature negative to nature positive. As you know, Biofin works with 35 countries, including Ecuador, to analyze opportunities for increasing national financing for biodiversity conservation. And 2, we must strengthen governance and rule of law. Protection of nature is protection of human rights. Nature destruction must become recognized as a serious crime, equivalent to a crime against humanity, ecocide, as proposed by Pope Francis. And the 3rd, we must support transformation of global production and consumption systems. And 4th, we need to catalyze systemic change that places nature firmly at the heart of national and sectoral planning and monitoring system to reduce human footprints and promote national nature-based safety net. And the 5th systemic change needed is the mobilization of demand for action for nature. People need to demand protection of nature to protect themselves. They need to demand that companies should adopt nature-friendly practices and that governments should enhance its provision for protection of nature. And I have been fortunate to visit the Galapagos twice in the past, and like every visitor, I have been overwhelmed by the sheer abundance and diversity of life on these islands. But if people in Ecuador and around the world had not spoken up for nature here, demanded protection from predatory shark fin fishing fleets, from uncontrolled development, from overgrazing, over-tourism, I could have been visiting desert islands or deserted islands. So the millions of years of evolution would have been helpless to adapt to the destruction of a few decades, which we are seeing. And I believe crowdfunding like this Galapagos campaign is not only about raising funds, it is about generating a groundswell of support and actions. And it is about making this call for nature heard in Ecuador and everywhere. And your strong support for this is needed. The giant tortoises and marine iguanas have evolved to overcome incredible challenges, but the ingenuity of evolution takes time, which the planet simply doesn't have right now. So we must use a human ability that is very unique. The ability to change behavior voluntarily, radically, and rapidly. So we must just do that now, and now we must make peace. Thank you, and Ono, back to
This campaign can be a start of something bigger in the future. And also, I really liked what you said about the campaign being not just about financing on the other end, because this crowdfunding campaign is not just to raise money. It's also to raise awareness on the need for conservation and to also motivate and boost the morale of the people who are doing conservation as their daily job. That's not us. We are just the facilitators. So thank you so much for sharing that. And we're going to now move on in our program. So from this global perspective, we're now moving to a regional perspective. And I would like to now ask our team to share the video from the regional director of UNDP's Bureau for Latin America and the Caribbean.
Hello, my name is Luis Felipe Lopez Calva. I'm the Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean at the UNDP. The world is undergoing an unprecedented crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit the economies everywhere, and our region, Latin America and the Caribbean, has been particularly affected. There are specific places whose activity has been completely stopped. One of them is Galapagos. 80% of the economy of Galapagos depends on tourism. Galapagos is also World Heritage as declared by UNESCO. We need to help Galapagos recover its economic activity, but do it in a way that is inclusive and it is friendly to nature. We invite you all to be part of this UNDP-led project. Share your social media, invite others to be part of this, and help Galapagos recover.
That was a very inspiring and beautiful message from the regional director. And I think a very important point there was that with this campaign, we can support both people and planet. There was this kind of former belief that we have to choose between one of the two. But I think this campaign is one attempt to try to demonstrate that we can focus on conservation and poverty reduction and other development goals in one go. And we're going to hear now from people who are working in the Galapagos to explain more about the situation. So it's my great pleasure to announce Mr. Norman Wray, President of the Government Council of Galapagos Islands. And he's going to explain more about the context of the Galapagos and how the pandemic has affected the archipelago. So Norman and one of his co-workers has joined him, and please, introduce yourselves, and we'd love to hear from you about the context and current situation in Galapagos. Over to you, Norman.
Thank you very much, Ono, and it's an honor to be in this panel with all these people around the world that are really committed with conservation and also with the people. All through this, well, I'm here with Alberto Andrade. Alberto Andrade is the coordinator of the Frente Insular de la Reserva Marina de Galapagos. This is a social movement here in the islands with a strong commitment against the fight against plastic impacts in the islands, and also the fight against the illegal fishing in Galapagos. So he represents also the community that is part of this collective action that we developed with UNDP to push this initiative for support the people in Galapagos. Through all these years in Galapagos, we learned that the only way, or one of the greatest strategies to support conservation is support people. We believe that if you invest in people, you invest in conservation. And here in our natural heritage of Galapagos, World Natural Heritage from UNESCO, declared in 1978, working with people is working with who are the first line of defense of the natural heritage. People, yeah, it's incredible what I'm going to say, but in Galapagos, there's people living here from many years ago. And these people need education, needs an opportunity, need help, they need help. And it's a lot of effort that we have to do for that. And right now, all the people that love Galapagos and all the people that have the opportunity to meet this incredible place around the world, I want to say to them that this is the moment to support, is the moment to do all that you can do for thinking in nature and thinking in people. Here are people as Alberto and other ones that with legal, we were doing a lot through all this pandemic crisis. And right now, believe me, this highly dependence of tourism stopped the first income of economy here in the islands. And people is suffering, for sure. But at the same time, they are optimistic, and at the same time, they want to be involved with the conservation of nature. So we need to, this is a call to action, a call to collective action around the world, that we can say to all the planet that Galapagos is still being an example of how we can do better things to the conservation of life in the planet. So one of the things to do that is supporting, generating commitment for the people that live here in the islands. It's really important right now that we can have all these efforts together, and it's an opportunity to show to the planet that conservation and economy and life of people and health can go together. They are not in conflict. They are part of all the integrity of what we have to preserve for this generation and the future generations. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to give the opportunity to Alberto Andrade, because we were partners also in this initiative with UNDP, and we are working together in all these initiatives, and he's part of the community, and his experience and his strength and his commitment is an example to all of us, of him and Frente Insular in Galapagos. Thank you very much for that, and let's go for all these resources. I know that we're going to make it, and this is going to be really good for Galapagos and really good for the world too. Thank you very much for your support. Alberto.
Yeah, Alberto, please go ahead.
Hola a todos.
Yeah, see you too.
Gracias, buenos días con todos. Es un placer estar aquí y participar de esta acción, que es una acción innovadora. Como dijo Norman, algo entiendo de inglés, pero no lo puedo pronunciar. Si inviertes en la gente, inviertes en la conservación. Y es justamente lo que nosotros estamos haciendo en 2017 como organización o como grupo de la comunidad. Nuestro fin es vivir la naturaleza de una manera diferente, cuidarla y también poner ejemplos para los que vienen atrás de nosotros o al lado de nosotros para poder librar esta difícil batalla que es la afectación de Galápagos por diferentes situaciones, como en este caso las limpiezas, la basura marina y las limpiezas costeras. Involucrar a la comunidad es justamente lo que nosotros venimos haciendo. Decimos, crear comunidad con la comunidad, utilizar las herramientas que sean necesarias para poder desarrollar como estos proyectos al cual me siento muy complacido de participar y llegar a esa comunidad que a veces no se visibiliza. Es un gusto tener mujeres y hombres de las partes altas que vengan ahora a andar en veleros. Es un gusto ver esas lindas personas que dicen voy a recoger basura, no porque le paguen, porque le nacen. Entonces, eso es lo que yo quiero decir en esta mañana. Cuenten con nosotros para desarrollar este tipo de proyectos que sí ayudan a la reactivación económica. De alguna manera, a un sector queremos más siempre, pero por algo debemos empezar. Y es un gran momento de hacer una alianza entre la comunidad y las instituciones para proteger nuestro patrimonio. Ese patrimonio que sabemos está permanentemente acechado por diferentes amenazas, polución plástica, sobrepesca, pesca ilegal. Por eso es importante aunar esfuerzos para proteger este hermoso patrimonio, ampliar la reserva. Bueno, hay muchos propuestas y proyectos. Estoy feliz, una vez más les digo, participar en estos temas de jornadas de limpieza costeras que gracias al PNUD y otras instituciones se van a desarrollar y que van a llegar a ese grupo vulnerable, ese grupo que necesita mostrar su amor por Galápagos y de alguna manera también pues, recibir una contribución a cambio. Yo quiero agradecer este espacio y cuenten con nosotros para cuando ustedes lo necesiten. Buenos días.
Thank you very much, Alberto. And
Thank you very much.
one of the strongest messages of Alberto was create community with a community. This is what he had been doing, and I know this campaign is close linked to that. So thank you very much again, and let's keep going on this great challenge.
Thank you so much, Norman, and also Alberto for giving us a picture of the challenge that you're facing, like having to clean the beach. And this campaign is really for you, to help you and others who are living on the Galapagos. So we really want to send a strong signal from the world that we are here to help you. And we hope that a lot of people will follow our example. And I hope that this time, instead of sending our waste to your beaches, I hope we can all send a little donation instead. So thank you so much. And we're going to now go ahead with the next part of the program. And we have another video. This time, now that you've all heard about the challenging situation in the Galapagos, we're going to hear about what could be part of the solution. So we're going to hear a brief video that will explain some information about the campaign. So that was very inspiring and beautiful imagery from the islands there. But we're gonna hear a bit more about the campaign now from Matilde Mordt, and she's the resident representative of UNDP Ecuador, and she's been for a very long time in the senior leadership of UNDP. And it's great to have her here, and she's one of the key people driving this campaign. So Matilde, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ono. And thank you all again for joining us today. We're really excited and proud to present this campaign. And I wanted to thank again everybody for the participation. Norman Wray, President of the Government Council of Galapagos Islands, Yolanda Kakabadse, renowned Ecuadorian conservationist, who we will hear from later. Midori Paxton, who is the head of ecosystems and biodiversity in UNDP. I understand that Cristina Segarra and the team from La Universidad San Francisco de Quito are also connected. Special thanks to Alberto Andrade, Frente Insular de la Reserva Marina Galápagos, por acompañarnos el día de hoy. It's always good to hear from the local communities and what your work is on the ground. And of course, to Ono, our Master of Ceremony, who's the Global Manager of UNDP Biofin Program, and of course to all participants and followers. I wanted to thank particularly the institutions involved in the creation and collaboration of this campaign. The Government Council of Galapagos Islands, UNDP's Biofin Initiative, the University of San Francisco de Quito, the UNDP Jeff Small Grants Program, which has helped us a lot through the Green Crowds Initiative and with the dissemination of the campaign, as well as the British Embassy in Quito. Next slide, please. So, as we have heard, the COVID-19 pandemic is definitely a wake-up call for humanity. The degradation of ecosystems, the loss of biodiversity and its unsustainable use have increased the risk of disease of spillover from wildlife to livestock and from animals to people, as we have seen. And we are at the tipping point that requires not only action in environmental terms, but also social safety nets for the most vulnerable people, and in particular for women who are harder hit than men by this pandemic. So we need cohesive, collective, and immediate action. I think this is an example of what we can do as a community, as a global community. As you have heard, the Galapagos Islands has a highly tourism-dependent economy, with the sector employing about 80% of the population. The archipelago receives 250,000 visitors per year. So the complete halt of the tourism due to the pandemic has hit the islands with an unprecedented economic impact. And this is also in some ways increasing pressure on natural resources as people seek other ways of sustaining their livelihoods. So this could affect the vulnerable ecosystems of this UNESCO heritage site and threaten the conservation efforts of its unique biodiversity. And talking also about the social dimension, this emergency could also exacerbate pre-existing inequalities and vulnerabilities among the local people. So in this context, and as a response to this situation, we in UNDP, together with the government of Galapagos and the University of San Francisco de Quito, are launching this campaign today. And I wanted to talk a little bit more of what this entails. Yes, I want you all to donate, but what is this actually going to? So we have envisioned this in 3 distinct phases, and it all will depend also in terms of the success of the funding campaign. So phase 1 is the immediate emergency support to recover the population's livelihood through a cash for work mechanism. And during this process, we have selected conservation champions in the Galapagos, around 90 local guides from the national park, who will be financially supported in order to help with the maintenance of the protected area, providing urgent income for local men and women and ecological protection of the archipelago. This involves, among other things, that as we heard from Alberto, they were working on cleaning the beaches, so that will be part of the work that these champions will be doing. This is already starting in December, so just in a couple of days, we're actually already on the ground starting out the campaign. Next slide, please. Phase 2. This will start early next year. And this entails inviting the community of Galapagos to participate in a cash for training process, in which 90 additional participants from different economic sectors, the sectors most affected by the crisis, they will get access to a 2-month training program. This program will be focused on the improvement and reactivation of green entrepreneurships. And participants will be chosen through a selection process that will consider different criteria, including gender and age. The participants that have been selected will obtain tools and guidance for green businesses that can withstand the current situation and also thrive towards a longer-term success. In addition to the training, the entrepreneurs that participate in the program, they will receive a part-time salary during their involvement to help them and their families survive the emergency. And the training will include a variety of fields, such as digital marketing channels, financial advice, new payment methods, sound environmental practices in their businesses, among other topics. Through this, we hope you all will join us in this endeavor, will support the design of a more sustainable future through the current businesses of the islands. And then we have phase 3, which is focusing on improving or creating small business ideas to strengthen entrepreneurship's capacities in the communities. So the most innovative and inclusive projects will undergo a 1-month additional mentoring phase with experts from academia, aiming at guaranteeing the venture's development and sustainability. And finally, we have an expert panel that will select the highest impact ventures that contribute to building a resilient and sustainable economy for the Galapagos. And these selected entrepreneurs will be granted seed funding for their business plan, as well as access to technical assistance to accompany the implementation of this plan. Interesting to note also that the winning projects will be evaluated and will have to report on their accomplishment and impact. So this is a campaign that will continue for the next months, and we invite you all to stay connected beyond the donation itself to see how this is progressing. You can visit our website, savegalapagosislands.com, and check out our goal. The goal is to collect at least $100,000 for these 3 phases. But remember, the more we receive, the more entrepreneurs and projects from the islands can actually be supported. Now, as Ono was saying, this is a crowd. So this crowd, we want you not only to help with the donations, but also to support in different ways. And this is the pitch we want you to transmit to you, and that we would like you to help us spread around the world. Behind the Galapagos Islands, there are people, brave guardians who protect flora and fauna with their work and dedication. Help us guarantee the quality of life, decent work, and the environmental protection of the world's most important living biodiversity laboratory by empowering its people through collaboration. This initiative aims to provide income for educational activities while there are no visitors to the islands. At the same time, it helps its inhabitants create ventures that strengthen entrepreneurial capacities in the community. And I wanted to get back to what Alberto was saying. They create community with the community. And I think this is central also for this campaign. We want to inspire the people of the islands and raise awareness globally about the situation in the Galapagos Islands and be a part of this creation of the community. Our campaign is a call for action to different audiences and partners, private and public sectors, media, celebrities, influencers, scientists, universities, environmental activists. All of you are invited to participate and take part in the project and spread the word. So we invite you to share and together reach this goal. If you visit the website, again, here it's coming up again, supporting not only with funds, but also with your engagement, sharing our website, sharing with us your stories in social media, writing articles about Galapagos and any other means you can find. So you can use our official hashtag Activate Galapagos. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter as PNUD Ecuador or UNDP Ecuador, and in the social media handles of our partners and allies. So please share in your social media the materials, the videos, the posts, the messages to support this project. The more people that get to know our campaign, the greater impact we can have. And here is our contact in case you want to support from the local media or any other collaboration or as influencers to spread the word of the campaign. Finally, I wanted to mention that during our campaign, we will hold various events for everyone interested in the Galapagos Island, from scientific events to photography challenges. So please stay tuned and visit our website periodically for more information. help us guarantee the quality of life, decent work, and environmental protection of the world's most important living biodiversity laboratory by empowering its people. Thank you very much.
About donating a little bit of money, but there's a cash for work element in it, so people actually clean the beach in exchange for this contribution. And also there's a real long-term perspective. This is not just a one-time donation, but this is really going to help build back better. So I really thank you so much for this explanation and for your leadership in this campaign, which we all appreciate. I think we have to move now to the next part, which is going to be another quick video, because we're going to find out a little bit more about the local conditions that the people are facing in the Galapagos Islands. So let's start the second video now.
Mi nombre es José Manuel Jimbo Jiménez, ¿no? Residente de Galápagos, vivo 25 años aquí en la isla, ¿no? ¿Qué le puedo decir? Tratando de vivir esta pandemia que ha sido algo trágico a nivel mundial, ¿no? Pero bueno, nunca hay que quedarse ahí, hay que tratar de superar las alternativas y de lo que se ha pasado, ¿no? Bueno, ahora estamos tratando de reactivarnos. Eso es lo más importante. Hemos hecho un bonito grupo de trabajo, un excelente trabajo con gente residente de aquí de Galápagos. Eso es lo más importante. Nos hemos convertido en una familia luchando día a día, esperando que vengan muchos turistas acá, ¿no?
Bueno, le contaré que ahorita sí estamos súper bajos en ventas. Hay poco, sumamente poco, pero igual nosotros tenemos que seguir trabajando. Y se ve poco turismo, pero algo. En cuestión de pandemia, a lo que había anteriormente, pues había un poco más de movimiento, ¿no? Pero ahorita sí estamos súper bajos. Pero vuelvo y le insisto, o sea, tenemos que seguir trabajando para nosotros poder salir adelante, porque realmente si nos quedamos en casa o nos tiramos a que no hay nada de ventas, va a ser peor, ¿no?
Bueno, la situación está un poquito complicada por motivo de esta pandemia. No están tomando las ventas, todo eso, pero así de cual manera, de esa manera lo estamos enfrentando para salir adelante. No estamos para dar un pie atrás por este motivo, sino seguir más adelante en esta causa.
En este tiempo de la pandemia, verdad que todo se ha bajado. No sé, yo he tenido que venir de mi casa aquí unos días a vender, pero igual está bajo también, porque no hay turismo, no hay nada, con la pandemia todo se ha pasado esto.
That the people have been very strongly affected by the pandemic. They're hit twice as hard as others, not only being affected directly by the pandemic, but also losing, I think, many of them most or all of their income. So it's really a tragic situation. And I really hope that I saw that they're actually still quite optimistic, and I hope we can reward this optimism. We're going to continue now with our agenda, and it's time for our keynote speech. And it's an honor for us to announce Miss Yolanda Kakabadse. She has a very long history in conservation. She was the first Minister of Environment of Ecuador. She was also the global head of both WWF and IUCN. And I think I don't have to add anything to that. Instead, we would like to listen to you, Yolanda, and over to you to share as your perspective and to tell us more about what you're also doing to help conserve these beautiful islands.
Thank you. Thank you, Ono, and saludos. Saludos to old friends and to new ones. A pleasure to be with you today in the launch of something important for an important case. And I want to focus a little bit on my history with Galapagos. I visited it for the first time about 50 years ago, totally different from what it is today. But I suppose that was the beginning of my life dedicated to the environment. During that first visit, I felt that me as a human being was just another species. And you get a sense of humbleness. I don't know if those of you who have visited the islands, you suddenly realize that you are a little grain in this enormous setup called the planet, and that the species around you are as important or more important, and therefore that you have to be part of the effort to shape the balance where it's not, where we have lost it, and to keep the balance where it is still there. And of course, looking back at the designation of Galapagos as a protected area, and then the creation of the marine protected area, the designation of a World Heritage Site, all of those have been important contributions, not only to the Galapagos, but to Ecuador. To Ecuador that little by little is recognizing the importance, not yet there. I wish that all Ecuadorians had visited the Galapagos at least once, recognized why environment is as important as in our lives. It's any other dynamic process. And that we still need to work on. And I wish that people from all over the world in the future would recognize that Ecuador is a country, government, those who are in government and those who are governed recognize the importance of keeping the Galapagos as it is. My perception since that first visit has moved and changed. And I feel that not only in the Galapagos, but in the whole planet, we are separating ourselves from nature further and further. And the depletion of nature is even greater now than it was 50 years ago. And Galapagos is a clear case, and I want to use Galapagos as the lab case of the negative impacts of a crisis. Galapagos had nothing to do with the virus, but we, the humans, have everything to do with the virus. The present virus that we are suffering from now is the consequence of the depletion of our ecosystems. The virus has always been there, but it was well kept. It was within its ecosystems, and the abuse of that ecosystem has allowed that virus to come up and become a threat. And that means that there are many other threats, many other viruses to come if we don't make a very strong effort to protect those ecosystems that we still have and build back our alliance with nature and make nature our partner of life. Galapagos is suffering from something that it didn't generate, that it didn't trigger. The economy of every individual in the Galapagos is affected. And that is just a demonstration that no one can get away by damaging the planet, because everybody will be affected. Climate change and the threats that we have now are the virus threats today are nothing compared to the threats that are coming if we don't do something about it via climate change. So acting now in protecting the Galapagos, in developing the necessary tools to recover the balance with nature is a must. It should not only be a wish, it is an obligation. And I want to talk a little bit about a process that I have been involved in the last months during this COVID-19 crisis. With a group of friends of Latin America, we wrote a declaration for sustainable development. A beautiful process and a beautiful document. Let me know if you would like to have a copy of that. The Principles for a Sustainable Future of Latin America in Times of Pandemic and Global Crisis. And I bring this up because the lessons that we speak about, the lessons that we have learned through this time of crisis, are lessons also for the Galapagos. And I will mention just a few of them. Number one, that the planet can collapse. The planet is not a passive being. Ecosystem is alive. And when it's threatened, it will react and it will bring humanity to its knees in a way, as we are seeing today. The goods and services of ecosystems have a limit, and we are seeing the limits of many ecosystems that have been abused and overly exploited. And we don't want that to happen in Galapagos, no through excessive fishing, no through excessive tourism, nor through any other activity that can bring the Galapagos to the verge of a crisis of that ecosystem. We have also learned that we need to take science as the basis for decisions on policies. Any policy that does not consider information based on scientific research is the wrong policy. Then we also have to think, what is GDP? What model of an economic design have we taken as the basis for growth? And GDP is basis for growth, but not for development. And we can see that in Galapagos as a case, not investing enough in education, in opening up options, in creating strong health systems is just a demonstration that growth has nothing to do with development. But we can also learn from the lessons of today that nature can recuperate if it is given a chance. And we need to give the planet and the Galapagos in particular a chance to recuperate. The fisheries are under threat. Species are under threat. Several species of the Galapagos are already in a red list, and that should not happen. But what is important and beautiful is that in the Galapagos, to respond to crises like this, we already have a growing active society that is creating a common vision, that is aware about the role of society and what role it can play in policy making and in shaping its own future. And it is a society that has an ambition to protect, to use, and to be sustainable. And it is a society that has an interest in participating. So thank you, dear friends, dear old friends of Galapagos, friends of Ecuador, for designing this strategy, this program, for being willing to support Ecuador, for calling on citizens of the world to support this campaign. Thank you for that. And my last thought is, let's keep the optimism at the top of the list. We cannot afford to be pessimists. We cannot afford to be always criticizing, but being positive drivers of change, as you are doing today for the Galapagos. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yolanda, for these inspiring words. And I'm an optimist too. So let's hope we are on the right side here. I think it's a great reminder that we are all in one global ecosystem on one planet, which is increasingly interacting with its different components. And I really hope that your words are going to be proven to be prophetic, that this is going to be not just a laboratory for evolution, the Galapagos, but also a laboratory of green recovery and financing conservation, because that's what we're really after here. So I think the model that was created by the team is really, really interesting. And now is really the time for everybody to support this initiative. So thank you so much again, Yolanda, and great to have you. So we have come actually to almost the end of our program. Now you've been hearing from a few people, and I hope that you've been all convinced to become sort of member of this community, because this is not the end of the campaign now at the closure of this launch, but this is just the end of the beginning. And we are really getting started with the campaign. And this campaign can only be a success if we create a very, very big crowd. So if you're on this call, please think of something you can do, at least one thing. I think everybody can, of course, share on social media, because we're doing that every day. Just find 1 or 2 WhatsApp groups, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you're on, and please share this with everybody. And I hope that some of you who feel like donating can also make a contribution. It doesn't have to be anything big, just a few dollars. It's just showing our commitment to the islands of the Galapagos and to the people of the Galapagos that have been guardians of this beautiful nature for so long. And anyone who is creative writer, I think Matilde explained, can contribute by writing stories. So I hope some of you are also inspired to do that. So in other words, there's a lot to be done. So this time you don't have to feel overwhelmed by the world's news coming at you, because there's actually something you can really do about it. You can contribute. And that's really the message that we want to send out with this campaign. So I hope we can share again the link to the campaign page in the chat box, and that you can all find it and be very active part of this community. This was the first event of this campaign, but I don't think it's going to be the last one. We're now getting started, and there's going to be other events, and we keep you all informed. So I would just like to thank all the speakers. Thank you, Yolanda, Matilde, Midori, and of course, Norman and Alberto, in particular also for telling us how's the situation on the ground. We really hope we can stay in touch, and we can support you with this campaign. And I would like to thank everybody who joined in, either at the beginning or end of the day or in the middle. And thank you for listening to us. And I hope that you're inspired to be part of this crowd, join our crowd, and be active. And let's send a strong signal to Galapagos that this is a very important place for the world. Thank you, everybody. And a big applause for the team who designed this campaign and this event. Let's hear it for them. To the campaign team, and I hope that I can see you in another event about this campain. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you for Matilde, Yolanda. Thank you all of you.
Bye.
Bye.
Gran abrazo.